Welcome to Pulse episode 60, finally a nice round number. In this episode we'll have a bit of general Blizzard news to look at right before we jump into the Diablo news of the past week. We'll take a look at some Blizzard competition winners, a few new Facebook like updates, some talk on the ever elusive treasure hunter, some more art style controversy, PvP and PvE balance, and a lot more. Let's get to the news. Though the loss of life and limb was great, the ocular fortitude of Blizzard's judges allowed them to see the job through. The winners of the 2010 Global Writing Contest have been chosen. Many judges were felled by the 18 million words that made up this year's competition. But whilst their souls are now forfeit to the contest's patron deity, Cthulhu, their sacrifices were not in vain. Behold the victors. The winner of the 2010 Global Writing Contest will be invited to Blizzard Entertainment's headquarters to meet and eat with Chris Metzen and the rest of the creative development team. He will also receive his choice of a Frostmourne sword or Diablo 3 Barbarian statue. The 7 finalists will each receive signed copies of the Diablo Archive, StarCraft Archive, Warcraft Archive, and Warcraft War of the Ancients Archive books. There were a couple of complaints that most of the stories were in fact set in the Warcraft universe, but I guess that's just the way of things. With all that said, the winning entry along with excerpts from all the finalists can now be found on the contest website. Check them out and enjoy the abundance of textual pleasure. Another contest winner has been announced. The first winner in Blizzard's recurring contest, the Guardian of Accounts art contest, has been picked. Featuring quite a clever set of blueprints of a StarCraft 2 inspired anti-account theft trap. The submission by Marcus from Germany managed to impress many, and you can see it on your screens right now. Quite intricate. Congratulations Marcus, and good work. As a reminder, Blizzard just let us know that they will continue picking one winner in the Guardian of Accounts art contest each month until January 2012. Each winner will receive a nifty iPad along with the fame, fortune and pleasure that comes from having others appreciate their work. I would love to enter something like this. I do, however, believe that nothing I enter would be as good as something like this. Oh well. To see the full-sized image and all the details you need to enter, check the links below. I know you've all been waiting for it, so let's head on over to the Diablo news. Blizzard's Facebook fan page rolled past the 650,000 likes mark recently, and, needless to say, we were rewarded with a new piece of artwork and a screenshot. This artwork was done by Vic Lee, and as we have heard before, the treasure seeker will randomly and rarely appear in dungeons, but when he does, you'll want to beat the candy out of him, as he will drop progressively better loot with each hit. Don't let him escape. The image is really cool, and if you're interested in reading more about this cunning creature, you can do so below at the Diablo INC Gamers post. The screenshot is of a male monk and a trio of fallen shaman, and this screenshot seems to have been taken mere seconds after the previous monk shot we were rewarded, the one with a poisonous cloud of gas. A pretty cool shot, and a lot of carnage. Check it out in full size below. So if you haven't liked the Diablo Facebook page just yet, go and do it right now and keep checking back here for more updates. As a little extra, it seems like the blue posters were more than ready to discuss the treasure seeker after these art updates. Bashiok let us know that the treasure seeker was inspired by those little bastards in Golden Axe. Yes, the same ones that you'd wake up to stealing your stuff and you'd have to kick the crap out of them. Yeah. You remember those guys. He also told us that the balance on that little menace was indeed not tuned correctly back at BlizzCon 2010, and he was dying way too easily to range classes and casters. You can read these full interactions and everyone's thoughts on them below. A keen fan that apparently has way too much time to ponder on his hands, named Stayater, has revived the good old art controversy relating to Diablo 3's new, more colourful style. by taking a bunch of clips from the old Wizard, Monk and Demon Hunter gameplay videos and whipping them through some filters to give them a darker and, in his opinion, more gothic look. Diablo INC Gamers first reported this and said that the new look he gave the videos was in fact oversaturated and too dark to see anything at all. This is, as many of you know, not the first time people do something like this. Over the years there have been many arguments and debates, many reworks of those static images, and, well, just a lot of whining too. I personally feel that most of the amazing art and texture work would be going to waste if Blizzard used a style such as the one in this video. What do you think? Do you like the visuals we've seen thus far, or do you feel it needs that more hardcore look? The Diablo 3 balance talk is back yet again, and this time Bashiok had a few more words on the always present issue of PvE versus PvP balancing. He said, on the note of balancing PvE and PvP separately, it's something they want to largely avoid. We do not have the ability to separate functionality, but we do want to try avoid big differences that make it feel like two different games when you play PvE and PvP. One area where things work differently and they think it's okay is in the case of crowd control, like stuns, snares, slows, etc. The duration of these skills is fairly significantly reduced when used against players. However, that same reduction in effectiveness is also seen in the PvE game when it comes to unique, champion or boss monsters. So it's not only a jarring difference, but it's also actually experienced in PvE. This is similar to how World of Warcraft does it, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like diminishing returns come into play at some point. Bashiok says that the bottom line is they'll have to wait and see. Balancing them separately is something Blizzard has the ability to do if needed, but they would prefer to avoid it. It is, as usual, great to see so much thought going into this, and, well, as with the whole art controversy thing, I do think issues like this are safest in the hands of the guys at Blizzard. The only thing we'll need to worry about is getting some sleep when this game hits. Read more about all of this balance talk below. A fan recently started a post up on the official Battle.net forum saying that he, or she, heard that all characters, creeps and monsters have a 95% flat chance to hit. Then asking whether there would at least be traits to influence these percentages, because he could well see a demon hunter or monk avoiding more hits. Lucky for us, Bashiok couldn't let that question go without an answer. So here goes. He let the fan, and indirectly all of us, know that there is no stat to modify the enemy's chance to hit you, but there is a dodge stat. It's only given in small amounts through traits and potentially some specific items. With dodge, an enemy could still hit you, but you dodge the hit, negating the damage entirely. He said that it is a stat that is being controlled fairly strictly, and as the poster said, is probably going to be more appropriate for some classes, i.e. the monk, while others may instead have more in the lines of damage mitigation. Blizzard don't intend for dodge to overcome the need for damage mitigation through defense and related damage reduction stats, even for those classes that have more of it available to them. Well, while that definitely answered everything, the poster wanted more, as any good Diablo fan should. Next up, he asked a quick question about rune swapping that didn't really yield any new information, and lastly, a very good question that I'm quite glad he asked. He asked whether all the weapon types would actually be used in Diablo 3, unlike in Diablo 2 where some were hands down better than others. In response, he was told that Blizzard are spending plenty of thought cycles to ensure that weapon choices are indeed choices, and not determined by clear-cut strength to go for one over the other. Traits and skills obviously play a part in the weapon choice, as there are traits that offer bonuses while using a specific weapon type, and some skills favor certain types of weapons too. As far as the base benefit of simply carrying around these weapons, yes, the bonuses associated between two weapons over one weapon are being kept in mind. Staves and two-handers can have bigger and more powerful affixes than are allowed to be generated on one-handed weapons, for example. What else can I say? I'm glad they're catering for all the styles and preferences out there. I, personally, have not yet even made up my mind about what class I want to play, let alone what weapons they'll use. I need to think long and hard on all of this. If you want to read more about all the aforementioned news, check the links below for the lot of it. Time for the next two fan art watch posts. Oh my, is there a lot of good stuff to look at this week. First up, in fan art watch number 80, we have 5 new pieces from the Diablo 1 and 2 gallery over at Diablo INC Gamers. My favorite of the lot has got to be the Hydralisk-like version of the demon in Looking for Bale by Choboroy. Quite a frightening looking baddie, to be sure. After that, we have 4 different Duriel pieces, and I really do mean quite different. Realistic, funny, colourful, they've got it all covered and definitely deserve your views. In fan art watch number 81, Flux gives us a couple of new sorceress images while apparently warning of a lot more to come. I don't think anyone would really complain about any Sorceress fan art at all, as most of them do look quite good. Check all of that out below and be sure to leave those comments of appreciation. After the apparent success of Force's Purgatory episode recently posted on DiabloFans.com, it seems like the two have teamed up yet again, this time bringing us the first episode in a new series titled Diablocast. In this promised weekly podcast, they plan to discuss all the happenings in the world of Diablo for each week. The first episode clocks in around 25 minutes, and I guess it's worth the watch if you want a different perspective on everything that's happening in the news. Check it out on YouTube or over at DiabloFans.com. Let's head on over to the Diablo 3 Smalls. There's a poll up over at Diablo Fans asking who's your favorite character. There's also a new post up having a long and hard look at the maps in Diablo 1, 2 and 3. You can read an interview over at CG Monthly with Max Schaefer about Torchlight and its conversion to consoles. Over at Diablo INC Gamers, you can read about the apparent lack of Diablo at PAX East. And lastly, in our Smalls, you can read about the PAX East panels on being a community manager, Facebook, and working for Activision. Time for the questions and answers. What is the next big event you'll be at to talk about Diablo 3? We haven't announced any events except for BlizzCon, but if we do, we'll definitely be on the Twitter space letting you know. How's the Gargantuan for the Witch Doctor looking? Amazing. Almost too cool to be a class skill. How are the bosses coming along? Are they all as awesome as the Siegebreaker, or gasp, awesomer? The answer to that? Way awesomer. Say I found an item in Diablo 3 that pawned. Then it was nerfed in a patch. Would I still keep that pre-patch item, or would it disappear? You'd keep that item, of course. It would simply be changed to reflect the alteration made to it in the patch. When you say 18 sets, do you mean 18 different boots, leggings, etc.? And does that 18 include unique armor, or are they totally different? There are visual tiers of gear, not actual specific items by name and stat. It's the same as Diablo 2, but more and better. To clarify, there are 18 complete tier looks. Complete. 18 individual looks for each item slot. That's it for the questions and answers and Pulse episode 60. Thanks again for all the great comments and support. You all know I appreciate it a lot. As long as you guys and girls out there watch it, I will keep the news coming. Remember to like the videos, favorite them, share them with your friends and the rest of the internet, and most importantly, happy treasure seeking.